Grab your building supplies, we're going back to work for the king. This is our review of the Architects of the West Kingdom expansion, Age of Artisans.
Age of Artisans is an expansion of Architects, which is a set collection worker placement game, and I really enjoyed the improvements.
I really love the base game, Architects of the West Kingdom, and while this expansion doesn't add a whole lot to it, it still adds enough to make it even more fun. We'll tell you a whole lot more after a quick how to play. The rules are pretty much the same as before with some minor changes that the expansion adds.
The biggest change are the addition of the craft cards, which can either add adornments to buildings or tools to apprentices.
Adornments offer great one-time actions as well as bonus points at the end of the game.
Tools offer apprentices new abilities and can also add up to more points at the end of the game.
Another change is the addition of a larger worker that comes with special abilities when used.
The expansion adds more buildings and apprentices to the game and also adds a 6th player with an orange character.
We're big fans of the entire West Kingdom trilogy, with Architects being at the top, and we didn't think that there was a whole lot that they could do to improve on it. However, they did add a couple nice things that really did make the game flow a little better, especially with the addition of the craft cards. So you can add adornments onto buildings, and you can add tools onto apprentices. Not only do they give you one-time abilities or abilities while you're playing the game, they can also add up to points at the end. These are just straight points at the end, and then the tools can add up. The more tools that you have, the more points you'll get. So it just gives you another way to add even more points and add more variability to the game while you're playing, so that when you get to the end, you're like, oh, who won? Who won? Gotta add up all the points. Oh, you have those points, you have those points. Like, points are coming out of everywhere. And I really like that at the end because everyone feels like they're in it until the very end.
The two main things that I like about the expansion is, one, the addition of the extra character, because some nights we have more people than usual, and it's nice to play games like these with more people. The second thing is the craft cards really hold true to the theming of Age of Artisans, because when I think of artisans, I think of like, okay, these are masters in their field, so they improve on something. So that's why these craft cards can make your apprentices better at something, whether collecting resources or doing an action, or it makes your buildings better by, having more points or doing a little bit extra when you go to the different areas.
The expansion also comes with a dual-layered guild hall. So you place this on top of the original on the board, and then it's dual-layered so that when you place your workers there, they don't shift around, which is a nice touch. It probably could have had that at the beginning, although it might have been hard to print that, I don't know. But it also adds a reference for when you want to add tools or you want to add adornments. So if you want to add a tool to an apprentice, you just have to place one of your workers on top of one of your other workers that you've already placed at the guild hall, and then you can add a tool to a worker. Or if you want to add an adornment, you have to place a worker on top of another worker that's already here, and then you have to pay 5 silver to the tax, and then you can add an adornment. So I really like this. That's a nice usability so that when you add the workers here, it's not going to shift like the regular board can sometimes. And it gives you that reference of these are your new abilities. So this differentiates the old board from the new board.
The next addition are the bigger workers that we have. Everyone gets one, and basically when you use them that first time, they do double what they did before. However, any subsequent turns, they just revert back to just one.
One thing I really like about this expansion, sometimes you'll get an expansion that totally changes the game or totally makes the game longer, or totally throws the game out of whack. This doesn't do that. This adds to the game in a nice way. Didn't make it any longer. We were playing a 6-player game. We used a full expansion, all 5 players at the base, plus a new orange player. 6-player game, still flew right by. Everyone was having fun. Everyone was taking their turn, moving along very quickly. This didn't add a whole lot to it because you're not sitting there going, oh, what does all this other stuff do? It gives you just one more ability to get more points and do things that you're already kind of doing on your turn anyway. So it still makes it just as fun, if not a little bit better than the base game. And I really appreciate that with expansions.
I will say one thing that I was hoping was in here was a reference card for everyone, because there's so many symbols that, like, unless you have the book and everyone else knows it, like, you'd be the only one like, what was this again? So I kind of need that reference card because we don't play it a lot. So I need a refresher like, okay, what's that symbol do again? All right, got it.
In the West Kingdom trilogy, there are so many symbols and different meanings of everything, especially from game to game to game. Sometimes to kind of tweak it a little bit, it can be a little confusing. So I do agree that a reference card wouldn't be bad for these games.
Yeah, probably just be a book for everyone since there's so many different symbols. So overall, the expansion was a really welcomed addition to the game, and it really bumped up my interest and intrigue with it. So I think I'll give it a 9.
Yeah, I really like this expansion. I don't think it was enough to bump me up to a 9. I hate doing like half scores, 8 point, whatever, but this is definitely better than the base game, but I don't think it's up to that 9 level. So I'm going to do an 8.5, even though I don't really like doing that.
And Teresa gives it a 10.
And Juliana gives it a 7.5, the same as the base game. And that was our review of Age of Artisans.
What'd you think? Are you ready to hone your craft and become the top artisan to the king? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you're enjoying our content, please like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Until next time, I'm Lee.
And I'm Kenny. Now go party like a board gamer.